Chapter 1, the lure of spices. I mean, lures to bring something in. Many European explorers were hoping to find gold and other precious metals. You can probably understand why explorers were eager to find gold. Gold is valuable metal even today. However, you may be surprised to learn that many explorers were also excited about finding spices. You might be saying, spices? Really? Why were they so eager to find spices? Here is the answer. Things that are scarce or hard to find tend to be expensive. That's why gold is expensive today. That's why the spices were expensive 500 years ago. Back then, spices were scarce in Europe. They were hard to find, so they cost a lot. Some spices were almost worth their weight in gold. So before I move on, this is the picture I want you guys to look at. It's actually from the previous reading, but it's very important to know. So up here we have Christopher Columbus. This is a picture of him. And he was funded, which means he started off in Spain. And we have Francisco Vasquez de Coronado, and he was also Spain. And we have right here John Cabot from England. Henry Hudson, who he was also for England and the Dutch East India Company, which is in the Netherlands. And then we have Samuel de Champlain, which is France. So these are these explorers that we will be speaking about, and we're going to be learning a little bit more about today. But again, these people were out in search for gold and spices because they were very valuable. It can make these men very wealthy. So right here is actually a picture of gold. And look how small. And do you see how in nature it kind of sits on things, right? It looks like it's sitting on the rock here. And people usually have to mine for it. You have to dig and find it. And sometimes it just might be out in the open. So again, just a little bit of this was worth a lot of money back then. And over here you can see spices displayed in a spice market. So now, today, there's still some spices that are very, very valuable, such as things like saffron and all that kind of thing. But back then, things like even pepper. Pepper was very, very valuable if you could find it for a while. So different things like mustard, you can see, like powdered mustard even, was a very valuable spice. Nutmeg, cinnamon, those things that we just kind of go into our cabinet and just find and use was very expensive back about 500 years ago. So let's keep reading all about it. The red balls in the center of this image are red peppercorn. So I say pepper. A cook can add a few whole peppercorns to soup. He can use a spice grinder to grind the peppercorn into tiny bits. Either way, the pepper will add flavor to the soup. It will make the soup spicier and tastier. I'm going to move myself over here so you guys can see. To the left of the red peppercorns, you can see white peppercorns. So over here are the white peppercorns. These come from the same plant as red peppercorns, but they are prepared in a different way. White peppercorns start out as red peppercorns, but the outer hull of the red peppercorn is removed to reveal the inner kernel, which is white, so you have to kind of take an extra layer off. They can be used in the same way as red peppercorns. The black bowl in the upper right image of this is filled with cloves. So back here, cloves. Cloves are dried flower buds. They are used to add flavor to meats and stews, some teas, and pumpkin pie. Cloves are very strong. Cooks who use them must be careful because adding too many of them may overwhelm other flavors in the dish. Peppercorns can't be grown in Europe. They can only be grown in warm, wet places like India. This image shows unharvested peppercorns over here. Is what they look like before they look like the pepper we know today. Today we get peppercorns from India pretty easily. An airplane or a ship can transport large amounts of them. You can go to the grocery store and get almost any spice you want. A little jar of cloves might cost $1 or $2. A can of peppercorns might cost $5 or $6. Scooch up here. 500 years ago, Europeans were not so lucky. The world was not as well connected as it is today. Spices were hard to get and transport. They cost a lot of money. A Spaniard who wanted to pepper would have to pay a lot more than just the pepper. He would have to pay for the cost of shipping, the pepper overland all the way from India, using donkeys, mules, and camels. It was the same with cloves and cinnamon. These plants could not be grown in Europe. They had to be imported or brought in to Europe from faraway places like the Indies. Many of the spices we use are the flowers, the fruits, or the seeds of a plant. Cinnamon is different. In this case, the part of the plant we use is the bark. Strips of bark are cut off of the tree. The outer bark is cut away. The inner bark is kept and rolled up like a little scroll. These can be called cinnamon sticks. Cinnamon can also be ground up like pepper. Do you like the taste of cinnamon? Do you like cinnamon on toast? How much do you like it? Would you be willing to sail across the ocean to get some cinnamon for your toast? In a sense, that is what European explorers were trying to do. I don't know about you guys, I love cinnamon, but I would not go and travel across the continent and the world just to get some cinnamon, especially for things like cinnamon on toast or even cinnamon toast crunch cereal you guys might like. I don't think I would go that far for it. So who knows? Maybe you would. All right, we'll see you guys for the next chapter in our reader.